a former state senator. Okay. In fact, she was the Senate Majority Leader in Sacramento, held a press conference and said, I'm switching from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, and I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. The woman's name is Gloria Romero. She joins us now from Malibu, California. Not a bad place unless there's a fire. She's author of the book, Just Not That Likable, The Price All Women Pay for Gender Bias. So your life must have been lively the last few weeks. Caught a lot of people by surprise, your announcement, right?
It did, but I think people who know me, and especially some of the fights that I've had with Sacramento to get back to some sense of normalcy and representing the working class and the middle class in California, I don't think they were as surprised as many others.
Okay, but you're a powerful Democrat in a state that's overwhelmingly Democrat. You're also a contemporary of Kamala Harris. I want to get into that in a moment. But when you say you're going to vote for Trump in California, that's like voting for the devil. I mean, have people shunned you because of that position?
In politics, you have to have a thick skin, and I do, believe me. So, yes, there have been some smears, but you'd be surprised. I've had a number of Democrats and others who have reached out to me to say, hey, we applaud what you did, and we're kind of thinking about that too, although maybe not as public.
Okay.
There's been a massive walk away from the Democratic Party, given the leadership of Gavin Newsom and in a state that was represented by Kamala Harris.
Well, it's California's in disarray. I mean, you're paying the highest prices for a gallon of gasoline in the country by far. People are leaving, and for my money, California's the most beautiful state in the union. I've been to every county. I mean, I've been up into Lessons County. I mean, it's just a fabulous place to live, or it used to be. But now the government, the Democratic government there, wants to control everything that people do. They don't particularly care about solving problems. All you have to do is go to San Francisco and look at the mess that city's in. Education is declining because they won't, the unions dominate. You won't throw over charter schools and all that. It's just on and on and on and on. Okay, so when did you first meet Kamala Harris?
I was in the California State Senate. I believe I first met her when she was district attorney and then later ran for attorney general. But one of the first interactions that I had with her is when she came to the Senate Public Safety Committee, which I then chaired. She was interested in running a piece of legislation, getting support for a bill that would go after truancy. Now, on the surface, this might sound good. But what was interesting was that she was focused on going after mostly these would be low income, probably mostly African American, Latina mothers whose kids were, I'm going to say, trapped in chronically failing schools in California, around which, when she became Attorney General, she did nothing about. In fact, if we look at those statistics, even today, Oakland schools, her hometown, 75% of Latino and African American children are not reading at basic levels of proficiency or doing math. And she exacerbated these chronically failing schools by going after a court victory. It was called the Vergara case.
All
And
right.
this
So what you're saying is that she put up some truancy bill, but she wasn't interested in the underlying causes of the failed education, which are gangs and teachers are afraid, and particularly in Oakland, which is totally out of control. Now, on
precisely.
balance, watching her, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Romero, you know a lot more about your state than I do. I see a machine politician, somebody who was elected in San Francisco as a district attorney based on her connections with Willie Brown, former Speaker of the House in Sacramento, former mayor of San Francisco. They had an association, let me use that word, okay? She got into the Democratic machine. She's very articulate. And then she just kind of moved on up, like the old sitcom, The Jeffersons. Am I reading that wrong?
No, you have a perfect readership on this. It basically is it. I mean, Party politics dominate. The most powerful force in the Democratic Party in California is the California Teachers Association, to which she hitched herself in going after the truant mothers, as well as basically trying to defeat that case that I described in at the Supreme Court level. She is the one, as Attorney General, who went after the parents and the kids who had won that victory to shut them down, thereby.
So she did the bidding of the union and put together a coalition of the willing. One of her pitches is she was very tough on the Mexican drug cartels in California. We can't find any evidence of that at all. None.
There's no evidence.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I don't want to be wrong. She prosecuted cases that were brought to her by state and local authorities, but she didn't do anything unilaterally to fight this terrible menace that has devastated California. So I'm right on that?
Absolutely. And also, if you take a look at what's happening in California today with all of the rampant crime, the smash and grabs, you can't walk into a single thrifty CVS and not find a barricade of plastic shelves behind which are products for sale. She is the one, as Attorney General, who wrote deceptively the title and summary of a measure which basically gave rise to this issue of you can steal up to $950 in California and basically not be punished with it.
That was a ballot measure.
California that summary.
California citizens are responsible too, but you're saying that she was behind the ballot measure, right?
Correct. As Attorney General, it was a very deceptive
That's not really a crime fighter. All right, then she gets into D.C. as a senator. And again, we've investigated her Senate record. Nothing passed in 4 years. Didn't do anything that we can see to advance the welfare of the country. Did she do anything to help California while she was in Washington?
There are no results that we can say, take a look over here. I think it's hard for anybody to do it. She's known basically for her going after the Supreme Court justices for their potential appointment to the Supreme Court, but I don't think that her scrutiny of them is anything to write home about. All
right, but you were the Senate Majority Leader in Sacramento, and when you're a senator, you're supposed to bring back some good stuff to your state. Do you see anything good that she brought to California in the 4 years she's in the Senate?
I'm sure there was some money that was funneled into California, but there isn't really anything that she was known for. It was quite clear when she first was running for the Senate, everybody knew it was going to be a short step, and then she was going to immediately start campaigning for the presidency. Okay. There were people who said she thinks she's the female Obama, and that's basically what everybody knew who supported her. She was being fast.
She has a base of support in Hollywood, in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, very wealthy base of support, right? And that propelled her.
Correct.
Okay. Now, she gets to be vice president. And again, one of the big issues in your state is the border. I mean, you've got, in Imperial County and San Diego County, you got absolute chaos there. Did she do anything to help California in those two counties?
No, in fact, we saw video surfaced with her just recently, basically saying no deportation ever. Even President Obama was known as the deporter in chief. Yeah. And you contrast that with her video, basically her saying no deportation ever.
All right. So you guys in Sacramento didn't see any improvement, even though she's vice president and was tasked to improve things at the border. Is that a fair statement? You didn't see any improvement?
I don't think it's there's no improvement at all. I think what it is she was not focused on California. She was focused at that time in getting a national name so she could establish herself to run for the presidency. That's really where it was.
But I understand that. But when you're tasked with improving things at the border and you're from California and California's under siege, you would think that there would be something that she would do to help you guys. Okay, final question on her, and then I have one more question for you. So Kamala Harris is a very shrewd woman, all right, who's now portraying herself as a moderate, that she wants to bring everybody together. When you see those spots, knowing her and her history, What goes through your mind?
It's just an artificial construction. It's Hollywood. It's a script. It's a narrative. It's not the truth. And sadly, I think for most of us who have been in politics and seen this, we've seen how, aided by a mainstream media and a very powerful machine that does not want America first, they are aiding and abetting the creation of an anybody but Trump candidate.
Yeah, so
This is it.
they're mythologizing the vice president so Trump will lose. Do you have any hesitancy at all with your long history of Democratic politics of voting for Donald Trump?
Not at all. I think in looking at it, I think it's very much wanting to restore America first. It is wanting to have a thriving economy. I believe in pathways to citizenship, but this border czar has completely made a mockery out of what citizenship means with a completely open border.
Right.
As a woman, I find it extremely offensive that apparently the Democratic Party today can't define a woman. I'm sorry, but men cannot get pregnant. We don't need tampons in boys' bathrooms. Title IX has been eviscerated, and there has been no comments from Kamala Harris on any of these issues at all. So I'm looking forward to a Trump presidency. There has been a great walkaway, especially among groups like Latinos, of which I'm Latina. Many of us are walking away saying this is not the party
Trump is
that
doing
represents
much
us.
better with Latinos. Well, we appreciate your candor, Ms. Romero. It's very refreshing for somebody like me who's used to politicians being kind of disingenuous. So thank you very much for appearing. And the book, again, is Just Not That Likable: The Price All Women Pay for Gender Bias. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.